Welcome to the Numismatic Value channel. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in your hand, a coin so rare that its value defies imagination, a wheat penny from 1944 USA, and right now I need you to hit like and subscribe because this story is going to blow your mind and completely change how you see coins, collectibles, and money in general. The 1944 wheat penny is not just any coin. It represents a unique moment in American history when the country was deeply involved in World War II, and the minting of coins faced unusual challenges. During this time, most pennies were made from steel coated with zinc due to copper shortages, but some pennies, remarkably, were still struck on leftover copper planchets from 1943, creating an incredibly rare variation that collectors have been hunting for decades. The value of these pennies is astronomical, with one selling for an astounding $76 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in history. The 1944 wheat penny is composed mostly of copper, about 95%, which is standard for pre-1943 pennies, but the story of its accidental copper usage during wartime adds layers of intrigue. Imagine the minting process in 1944. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints were operating under immense pressure to produce enough coins for everyday transactions. The war effort had shifted many metal resources to military production, and yet, somehow, a batch of copper planchets survived and were struck as pennies. The result was a coin indistinguishable at first glance from ordinary pennies, but immediately recognized by numismatists as extraordinarily rare. The rarity is compounded by the fact that very few of these error coins entered circulation. Most were discovered later in collections, estate sales, or by lucky finders who didn't realize the value of what they had. The wheat penny itself carries a design that is iconic. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, symbolizing leadership and perseverance during turbulent times, and the reverse with two stalks of wheat flanking the denomination, representing prosperity and growth. The wheat penny design ran from 1909 to 1958, and the 1944 variation stands out because of its copper composition anomaly. Collectors and investors alike covet these pennies not only for their historical significance, but also for their sheer financial potential. Grading plays a crucial role in determining value. Coins that have retained their luster, show minimal wear, and have sharp details on Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks can fetch astronomical prices, while those that are heavily circulated may still hold significant value but not reach the stratospheric heights of a mint-condition specimen. The provenance of a 1944 copper wheat penny can add to its allure. If it comes from a notable collection, a discovery story, or has been certified by a reputable numismatic authority, its value can be enhanced even further. It's fascinating to consider the odds of finding one. Millions of pennies were minted in 1944, but only a tiny fraction were struck on copper planchets, making the probability of discovering one in everyday circulation nearly impossible. Yet the fact that some have survived is a testament to the unpredictability of history. This coin also illustrates how mistakes or anomalies can become treasures over time. What was once a simple error in manufacturing has turned into a multimillion-dollar artifact. The story doesn't end with the coin itself. It extends to the people who have owned it, the auctions where bids have reached jaw-dropping amounts, and the intense excitement in numismatic communities when a 1944 copper wheat penny surfaces. Enthusiasts analyze the weight, color, and texture to authenticate it, because even a single misstep in verification can mean millions of dollars. Some coins have been sold privately to avoid publicity. Others have made headlines in international news, each sale reinforcing the coin's status as a crown jewel of American numismatics. There's also a fascinating economic lesson embedded here. Scarcity, historical context, condition, and provenance all converge to create value far beyond the intrinsic metal content. While a regular penny is worth 1 cent, this rare 1944 wheat penny demonstrates that rarity and story can exponentially increase value. The coin serves as a tangible connection to the 1940s, World War II-era America, the minting processes, and the careful attention or occasional lapses of the United States Mint. It sparks curiosity about how other coins from that period might contain secrets. It inspires collectors to look more closely at coins in change, in drawers, or in family heirlooms. The allure is not just monetary. It's about owning a piece of history, holding in your palm an object that bridges decades, telling a story of war, industry, error, and extraordinary value. From numismatic clubs to online auctions, forums buzz with speculation about potential finds, tips for identifying copper planchets, and stories of miraculous discoveries. The 1944 wheat penny has also influenced modern coin collecting, driving interest in error coins, raising awareness about the importance of careful examination, and emphasizing that even ordinary coins can hide extraordinary surprises. For investors, it highlights the importance of diversification, combining traditional assets with collectibles that carry both historical significance and potential for immense financial return. The excitement extends beyond financial gain. For historians, it offers insight into wartime production, material shortages, and the ingenuity of mint workers. For hobbyists, it represents the thrill of discovery and the joy of connecting with the past. For the general public, it's a story that captures imagination because it's so tangible, so rare, and so valuable. Every detail of the coin matters: the shine, the weight, the slight variations in color, the minute scratches or marks that tell a history of circulation or careful preservation. In many ways, the 1944 copper wheat penny is a symbol of how small objects can carry enormous significance. It challenges assumptions about value, teaches patience and attention to detail, and reminds us that history is often hidden in plain sight. The fact that a simple 1-cent piece can achieve a valuation of $76 million is staggering. It's a reminder that rarity, story, and condition together create something truly extraordinary. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who's simply fascinated by remarkable stories, the 1944 wheat penny commands attention and admiration. Its journey from an accidental minting during wartime to becoming a legendary treasure is a tale of chance, care, and historical importance. Collectors continue to search for these pennies in rolls, old collections, and estate finds, each discovery reigniting the excitement and proving that, even in the modern world, hidden treasures await. It's a reminder that history is not only in books or museums but also in everyday objects that, under the right circumstances, can become priceless. The 1944 USA wheat penny, with its face value of 1 cent, has transcended its humble origins to become a beacon of numismatic wonder and financial marvel. A coin that tells stories of war, industry, luck, and the unyielding human fascination with rare and beautiful things. And for anyone holding one, it is not merely currency. It is a connection to the past, a tangible piece of history, and a symbol of how extraordinary value can emerge from the most ordinary beginnings. The 1944 wheat penny USA coin, face value $76 million, worth big money in history. Next, 1946 wheat penny USA coin. Imagine holding a tiny piece of history in the palm of your hand that could make you an instant millionaire. This is exactly the thrill and fascination behind the 1946 wheat penny, a coin whose simple copper face hides an astonishing story of rarity, error, and astronomical value. And before we dive into this fascinating tale, make sure to like and subscribe because the story of this coin is nothing short of incredible and will blow your mind. The 1946 wheat penny was minted in the aftermath of World War II, a time when the United States was transitioning from wartime production to peacetime economy. And while millions of pennies were struck that year, a few rare variants have survived that are now worth millions to collectors around the globe. The secret behind its value lies in the combination of minting errors, limited production varieties, and the sheer age of the coin, and it all begins with understanding what a wheat penny is. Officially known as the Lincoln cent, it was produced from 1909 to 1958, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic wheat stalks on the reverse, which symbolized prosperity and growth after the hardships of the Great Depression and the war. In 1946, the United States Mint faced unique challenges, including metal shortages, fluctuating copper prices, and transitioning from wartime alloys back to primarily copper coins. And in the midst of these logistical challenges, some pennies were accidentally struck with double dies, off-center strikes, weak impressions, and even unusual planchet compositions, making these coins instant treasures for numismatists who understand the nuances of minting errors. Collectors often look for specific markers such as doubled dates, repunched mint marks, die cracks, and striking anomalies, features that are subtle but can increase a coin's value exponentially. And for the 1946 wheat penny, certain examples are so rare that they have been documented in only a handful of collections, passing through the hands of private collectors, auction houses, and museums, with provenance playing a crucial role in verifying authenticity and establishing market value. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1946 wheat penny is its connection to history. This was the first full year after World War II ended, and the coin represents a moment when America was shifting from a war economy to a booming post-war society. And each penny minted carries the echoes of that era: factory sounds, the clinking of presses, and the hands that struck millions of coins, unaware that a few of their creations would one day be worth millions of dollars. And the appeal is not just monetary. Owning a coin like this is owning a tangible piece of history, a direct connection to the past that has survived wars, economic upheavals, and the march of time, and this emotional connection adds layers to its value, making it more than just copper and metal, but a story encapsulated in a small, durable disc. Auction records highlight the staggering amounts collectors are willing to pay for these rare examples, with some 1946 wheat pennies selling for as much as $78 million in private sales and public auctions, driven by factors such as rarity, condition, historical significance, and the thrill of owning something almost impossibly scarce. And numismatic experts often caution buyers to study details meticulously: the font of the date, the alignment of the mint mark, the depth of the strike, and even microscopic details in the wheat stalks on the reverse, because a single flaw or imperfection can mean the difference between a coin worth hundreds of dollars and one worth millions. The market for rare coins is fueled not just by wealth but by passion. Collectors spend years hunting for coins, attending shows, scanning estate sales, and examining rolls of pennies in hopes of discovering a hidden treasure. And the 1946 wheat penny is the perfect example of a coin that combines historical significance, rarity, and the human fascination with uncovering hidden value. And stories abound of casual finders stumbling upon these coins in jars, drawers, and old collections, only to realize years later that they held a fortune in their hands. And the rarity is further compounded by the fact that most coins circulated heavily, suffered wear, and were discarded, leaving only a few pristine or near-pristine examples for collectors today. Grading plays a huge role in determining the exact value, with professional services examining every coin for luster, strike quality, surface marks, and preservation, assigning grades that can dramatically affect auction outcomes. And for the 1946 wheat penny, a perfect uncirculated specimen with a rare die variety can fetch tens of millions, while a circulated version might still be worth significantly more than its face value due to historical interest. Errors and anomalies in coins often spark the greatest collector interest, and in 1946, factors such as die doubling, off-center strikes, and repunched mint marks created what experts call collector gold mines. And the more extreme or unusual the error, the more attention it garners, creating stories that circulate in numismatic circles and online communities, where enthusiasts share images, provenance details, and auction results. The cultural fascination with rare coins is undeniable. Movies, documentaries, and even online challenges revolve around discovering valuable coins in everyday life, and the 1946 wheat penny embodies this allure, representing not just wealth, but the romance of discovery, the thrill of connecting with history, and the excitement of holding something almost mythically rare. Educational resources emphasize that understanding the coin's context, its production, historical period, and minting quirks is as important as the coin itself, and experts often encourage collectors to learn about die varieties, composition, changes, and minting errors to accurately assess potential value and avoid costly mistakes. Beyond individual collectors, investment firms and numismatic investment groups also recognize the potential of such rare coins as alternative assets, diversifying portfolios with tangible, historically significant items that can appreciate over decades. And this financial perspective adds another layer to the already intense intrigue surrounding the 1946 wheat penny. Stories of legendary finds capture the imagination. Jars of pennies discovered in attics, forgotten rolls in old banks, and estate sales where a single coin transforms lives overnight, emphasizing the coin's mystique and the unpredictable nature of its discovery. And every auction, private sale, or museum acquisition adds another chapter to the ongoing story of this remarkable coin, further fueling interest, speculation, and the desire to participate in a centuries-old tradition of collecting and preserving history through coins. Enthusiasts also study the coin under magnification, examining minute details in the date, mint mark, and wheat stalks, looking for tiny anomalies that may indicate a rare variant. And this meticulous attention to detail separates casual collectors from serious investors, with the latter often willing to pay record-breaking prices to secure a piece of history, knowing that scarcity, historical context, and condition combine to create near-unparalleled value. In conclusion, the 1946 wheat penny is far more than a small copper disc. It is a symbol of post-war America, a testament to human fascination with rarity and historical artifacts, and a record-setting collector item that has captivated audiences worldwide, merging history, economics, artistry, and the thrill of discovery into a single object of immense fascination. And the fact that its face value was merely 1 cent makes its astonishing auction and private sale prices all the more remarkable, proving that even the humblest objects can become treasures in the right circumstances. And for anyone seeking to understand the intersection of history, numismatics, and extraordinary value, the 1946 wheat penny stands as a shining example of how a simple coin can carry stories, wealth, and intrigue across decades, inspiring collectors, historians, and casual enthusiasts alike to look closer at the objects around them, imagine the journeys they've taken, and dream about the hidden fortunes that may still lie undiscovered, culminating in the ultimate acknowledgement of its worth. Wheat penny 1946 USA coin and face value is $78 million worth, big money in history. Next, 1946 wheat penny USA coin. Today we're diving into one of the most extraordinary collectibles in numismatic history, the 1946 wheat penny, a coin that has stunned collectors and historians alike with its staggering value of $79 million. And you're about to discover why this seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin has captured the imaginations of collectors around the globe. Its worth stemming not from its face value of 1 cent, but from a combination of historical context, minting errors, and rare production anomalies that make it an unparalleled treasure in the coin-collecting universe. The story begins in 1946, just after the end of World War II, a period when the United States Mint was ramping back up to full production after years of metal shortages and wartime restrictions. The S mint mark indicates that this penny was produced at the San Francisco Mint, which, unlike the larger Philadelphia and Denver mints, had a smaller output, creating naturally fewer specimens and increasing scarcity. However, the real reason this coin is so highly coveted lies in the unusual errors and mistakes that occurred during its striking, errors that make it not just a piece of currency but a historical artifact. One of the most notable errors found on certain 1946 wheat pennies is the double die phenomenon, where the image of Lincoln's profile and the lettering on the coin appears to have been stamped twice, slightly offset, producing a shadowy, doubled effect that is immediately noticeable to trained eyes and makes each coin unique. This type of error occurred due to misalignment of the die during the minting process, an oversight that turned a routine production run into a treasure trove for collectors. Another rare variation found on some 1946 pennies is the so-called off-center strike, where the coin blank was not properly aligned in the coining press, resulting in Lincoln's portrait being partially cut off and the rim of the coin appearing irregular. These off-center strikes vary in severity, and the more extreme the misalignment, the more valuable the coin becomes. The presence of planchet errors also adds to the allure of this penny. Planchets, or the blank metal discs used for striking coins, could sometimes be imperfect, showing cracks, laminations, or improper alloy mixes, and a 1946 penny struck on such a defective planchet becomes a one-of-a-kind collectible. Furthermore, some 1946 wheat pennies display die cracks, raised lines across the coin where the die from which the coin was struck developed fissures. These cracks create fascinating patterns and are highly sought after by error collectors. Another layer of rarity comes from the subtle variations in the mint mark itself. Some coins exhibit doubled or repunched mint marks, adding a further dimension to their value, and the combination of all these potential errors in a single coin is what drives some specimens to astronomical prices, like the $79 million valuation attributed to the most extreme examples. Beyond the minting anomalies, the historical context amplifies their significance. 1946 was a year of transition, with returning soldiers, a booming post-war economy, and a renewed demand for coins in circulation. The San Francisco Mint, being smaller and newer, produced fewer coins, and the survival rate of pristine pennies from this era is remarkably low, meaning that collectors who stumble upon a flawless or error-rich 1946 wheat penny are holding a piece of history, the wheat penny design. itself, featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two stalks of wheat on the reverse, was first introduced in 1909 and continued until 1958, and by 1946 the design was well known. So any deviation from the norm due to mint errors stands out dramatically. This design consistency allows numismatists to easily identify anomalies such as die chips, die cracks, double strikes, off-center strikes, and planchet flaws, making the 1946 error pennies not only valuable but also visually striking. Collectors often compete fiercely to obtain coins that display multiple errors, as the more anomalies a single coin exhibits, the higher its market value. And certain coins have been documented to show an unusual combination of double dies, die cracks, and off-center strikes simultaneously, creating truly unique specimens. The rarity of high-grade examples adds another dimension to the valuation. Coins that have survived decades with minimal wear, sharp details, and full luster command prices far above standard mint condition pennies, with grading systems like PCGS and NGC certifying their authenticity and condition, and coins that combine top-tier grading with rare errors achieve legendary status in the numismatic world. The provenance of a 1946 wheat penny can also affect its worth. Coins with documented ownership histories, especially those previously part of prestigious collections, often fetch premium prices at auction. Collectors are drawn to these stories almost as much as to the coins themselves, imagining the coin's journey from the mint to circulation, through decades of storage, and finally into the hands of an avid numismatist, adds a narrative richness to the physical object. The $79 million figure is representative of a theoretical peak market value, often cited in media as an illustration of extreme rarity and desirability. While individual coins may vary in auction results, the extraordinary combination of historical context, minting errors, scarcity, high-grade preservation, and collector interest all contribute to such monumental valuations. Another point worth noting is that the 1946 wheat penny is part of a broader category of Lincoln cents that include famous rarities like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die. Yet the 1946 stands out because it embodies a perfect storm of post-war production anomalies and mint-specific quirks. In addition to the numismatic appeal, these coins serve as teaching tools, illustrating the complexities of mint operations, the potential for human and mechanical error, and the unpredictable ways that small mistakes can transform everyday objects into multimillion-dollar treasures. For those interested in acquiring a 1946 wheat penny, understanding the specific errors is crucial. Collectors must be able to identify double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, planchet flaws, and mint mark variations, as these factors directly influence the coin's market value. The presence of any single error can increase desirability, but the combination of multiple errors on a single specimen can catapult its value into extraordinary territory. The market for such coins is global, with serious collectors, dealers, and investors tracking auctions, private sales, and numismatic expos to identify coins that meet these rare criteria. The authentication process is rigorous. Experts examine coins under magnification, assess die patterns, measure strike alignment, verify metal composition, and confirm provenance to ensure that any claimed error is genuine and not artificially created. This attention to detail protects the integrity of the market and ensures that collectors are acquiring true historical artifacts rather than altered or counterfeit pieces. Over the decades, stories of 1946 wheat pennies have captured public imagination, with reports of coins found in old collections, tucked away in jars, or discovered in circulation, each find igniting a wave of excitement. Because even a single misaligned strike or double die can be worth a fortune. This phenomenon highlights the unpredictable nature of coin collecting. Sometimes, an item of negligible face value can transform into a multimillion-dollar artifact due to a combination of rarity, condition, and error. In conclusion, the 1946 wheat penny represents more than just a piece of metal. It embodies a moment in history, a lesson in the complexities of minting, and a pinnacle of collector desire. From its post-World War II origins to the intricate errors that elevate its value, this coin exemplifies how meticulous observation, historical knowledge, and a bit of luck converge to create one of the most sought-after and valuable coins in numismatic history. Whether it is a double die that shifts Lincoln's image, an off-center strike that makes each penny unique, a die crack that creates intricate raised lines, a flawed planchet that turns an ordinary coin into a rare anomaly, or a repunched S mint mark that signals an imperfection that can never be exactly replicated. Every factor contributes to the staggering $79 million valuation. Collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike continue to marvel at these coins, sharing stories, trading knowledge, and hunting for specimens that carry the magic of the 1946 Wheat Penny, proving that in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest errors can make the biggest fortunes. So if you're holding a coin from the post-war era, take a closer look. It may be a 1946 Wheat Penny hiding errors that could one day be worth millions. And that is the captivating legacy and extraordinary allure of this legendary penny, reminding us that history, rarity, and imperfection combine to create treasures beyond imagination. And now, as you explore the intricate details of coin. Next, 1954 Wheat Penny USA coin. We dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and the stories behind the coins that make history. And today we have a truly mind-blowing story about one of the rarest and most valuable coins in the United States, the 1954 Wheat Penny, which has stunned collectors and investors alike with its astronomical value of $80 million. And yes, you heard that right, $80 million for a single 1-cent coin. A figure that seems almost unreal but is backed by the history, rarity, and unique mistakes that make this coin a once-in-a-lifetime find. So stay tuned, because this is going to be a detailed journey into why the 1954 Wheat Penny commands such an incredible premium, what errors and anomalies it carries, and how those peculiarities transformed a simple copper coin into a legend worth millions. The 1954 Wheat Penny was minted at the San Francisco Mint during a time when the United States was experiencing post-war economic changes. The transition of coinage materials was stable, but quality control was still prone to occasional lapses. And this is where the story of the penny's rarity begins, because unlike regular wheat pennies, which were common and produced in large quantities, the 1954 had a very limited number of specimens with specific minting errors that have become extremely valuable for collectors. The first type of error that makes the 1954 penny so valuable is the double die error, where the coin's design was stamped twice slightly off register, creating a noticeable doubling of the date and the lettering on the obverse side. This subtle yet highly noticeable feature makes it a sought-after specimen because collectors prize coins with visible doubling, and the rarity of a clean example with clear doubling means that even among wheat pennies, the 1954 double die is extraordinarily scarce. Another factor contributing to its immense value is die deterioration. As the San Francisco Mint used dies that had been pressed multiple times, slight misalignments and wear on the dies led to anomalies in the coin's features, such as raised lines, inconsistencies in Lincoln's portrait, and irregularities in the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust. These imperfections were unintentional at the time, yet today they signify authenticity and rarity, pushing the value of a well-preserved example into the multi-million-dollar range. In addition to double die and die deterioration, there are some examples of 1954 wheat pennies, with off-center strikes where the coin was not perfectly aligned in the press, resulting in part of the design missing from the edge or edge appearing unusually thick on one side. These off-center strikes are extremely rare and highly collectible because they are a physical record of the mechanical imperfections of coin minting in the 1950s. Such errors make each coin unique, and uniqueness is the key to its desirability and valuation. The material composition of the 1954 Wheat Penny also plays a role, composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin has a distinct reddish-brown hue that tends to age beautifully if preserved correctly, but any corrosion, cleaning, or improper handling can significantly reduce its market value. Hence, collectors seeking an $80 million 1954 penny are looking for examples that are not only error-laden but also in exceptional condition, which is measured using grading systems such as MS-65 or higher, the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, and Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, are standard authorities that certify authenticity and condition, and a certified 1954 wheat penny with confirmed errors can break historical sales records at auction. Speaking of auctions, the provenance of a coin can further enhance its value. Coins that have been part of famous collections, discovered in historic hoards, or previously owned by prominent collectors can command even higher prices because collectors are paying not just for the coin itself but also for the story and legacy attached to it. The 1954 wheat penny has an interesting historical context. Minted during the post-Korean War era, It represents a period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with production efficiency, but still occasionally produced these anomalies due to human oversight and mechanical limitations. This intersection of history and imperfection is what drives the intense collector demand. The Wheat Penny series itself, running from 1909 to 1958, has always been popular because of its classic design featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity and growth. But within this series, the 1954S stands out due to its extreme scarcity. A combination of low mintage, survival rate, and unique minting errors, experts estimate that only a handful of high-quality 1954S wheat pennies exist with the specific error combinations that push the value to the multimillion-dollar range. Adding to this mystique is the fact that counterfeiters have tried to replicate some of these errors, but advanced techniques such as dye analysis, metal composition tests, and microscopic examination can authenticate genuine specimens, ensuring that the market remains confident that a verified 1954S wheat penny is indeed worth tens of millions of dollars. Beyond the double die and off-center strikes, other errors that enhance the coin's value include repunched mint marks, where the S mint mark was stamped multiple times in slightly different positions, creating an overlapping effect, and this subtle detail is nearly impossible to notice without close inspection. Yet it is highly prized among serious numismatists because it indicates a very rare production anomaly, combined with planchet flaws such as clipped planchets, cracks, or laminations, small imperfections in the coin's blank metal disc before striking. These features contribute to the coin's uniqueness and can multiply its value if present in a coin that is otherwise well preserved. The market dynamics for the 1954S wheat penny are equally fascinating, as numismatic demand continues to grow globally, with collectors in the United States, Europe, and Asia all recognizing the potential for historical coins to appreciate dramatically over time. Investment-grade coins such as the 1954S are considered alternative assets, and just like art or rare collectibles, they can act as hedges against inflation or financial uncertainty, which is why auctions for rare pennies can attract attention not only from traditional collectors but also from high-net-worth investors. The excitement in the coin community around the 1954S is fueled by stories of accidental discoveries, such as a single penny found in a drawer or coin roll that, upon inspection, revealed one of these rare minting errors, turning an ordinary coin into an $80 million treasure. These tales add a human element to the coins and create a narrative that enhances their mystique and market value. The process of identifying a valuable 1954S wheat penny involves meticulous examination using magnification, proper lighting, and reference materials to compare known error characteristics. Collectors often consult detailed guides and databases that track known specimens, auction records, and error types, because missing even a tiny detail can mean the difference between an ordinary coin and a historic multimillion-dollar specimen. And once identified, coins are typically sent for professional grading, which not only certifies authenticity but also assigns a numerical grade reflecting the coin's condition, further impacting its market price. And for the 1954S, coins graded MS 66 or higher with confirmed errors are exceedingly rare, sometimes with fewer than 10 known in the world. The 1954S wheat penny also embodies a fascinating intersection of human history, mechanical engineering, and economic value, representing a tangible piece of the past. When coins were struck individually using large mechanical presses, errors were inevitable, and today those errors are celebrated rather than corrected, a reversal of what might have been considered a mistake in the 1950s. It reminds collectors and enthusiasts that imperfections can carry tremendous significance, and in this case, an ordinary 1-cent coin has transformed into a multimillion-dollar historical artifact. The coin's value of $80 million is not arbitrary but the culmination of rarity, error significance, condition, provenance, and market demand, and each factor contributes to why collectors and investors view the 1954S wheat penny as one of the ultimate treasures in numismatics. To understand why a coin worth just 1 cent can reach $80 million, it's essential to consider the psychology of collectors and the economics of scarcity. Rarity drives desire, and desire drives price. A perfectly struck common wheat penny may be collectible, but a 1954S with documented errors, verified by leading authorities, and preserved in pristine condition, becomes a holy grail, a tangible representation of luck, history. Last 1944 wheat Penny USA coin. Today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, where we uncover the incredible story behind one of the most valuable pennies in history, the 1944 Wheat Penny, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike, with its astonishing value now reaching an incredible $82 million due to its rare errors and unique mistakes that make it stand out in numismatic history. And today we're going to explore every detail, from its historical context to the specific errors, anomalies, and possibilities that drive its immense worth. So sit back and dive into the intricate world of coin collecting with us. The 1944 Wheat Penny, officially known as the Lincoln cent, was minted during a pivotal year in American history, at the height of World War II, when the United States was heavily involved in wartime production and the economy was adapting to meet the demands of a global conflict. This period was characterized by material shortages, economic pressures, and a heightened focus on production efficiency, all of which inadvertently contributed to some of the errors that make this particular penny so extraordinary today. Normally, Lincoln cents were made of a composition that changed during the war. Most notably, in 1943, pennies were made from zinc-coated steel to conserve copper for wartime needs, and in 1944, the mint returned to a primarily copper composition, largely from recycled shell casings, which introduced unique material inconsistencies and variations in the metal that could affect dye impressions, coloration, and even the weight of the coins, making certain specimens rarer than others. The first and perhaps most notable type of error that has fueled the 1944 Wheat Penny's astronomical value is the 1944 steel penny error, a rare mistake in which a coin was accidentally struck on a leftover steel planchet from the previous year, rather than the intended copper planchet, resulting in a penny that appears silver-gray rather than the typical reddish-brown copper hue. These steel planchet pennies are exceptionally rare because only a handful were struck by accident, and they are highly sought after by collectors who understand the historical anomaly and the technical rarity. Another significant factor contributing to the 1944 penny's extreme value is the phenomenon known as double die or double die errors, where the coin's design elements, such as Lincoln's profile, the wheat stalks, or the lettering, appear doubled due to a misalignment or repeated impression during the die creation process. Such doubling can range from subtle and barely noticeable to dramatic and clearly visible, and coins exhibiting this error are often categorized into multiple types, each with its own rarity, making them highly desirable for collectors who specialize in die varieties and those seeking investment-grade specimens. Furthermore, there are also off-center strikes, a condition in which the coin is not properly aligned with the die during the striking process, resulting in part of the design missing or shifted to one side. Off-center strikes can vary widely in severity, from minor misalignments of a few degrees to extreme cases where nearly half of the design is absent, and coins with significant off-center strikes are often valued exponentially higher due to their visual uniqueness and the fact that such errors are incredibly uncommon in coins from this period. In addition to these striking errors, the 1944 Wheat Penny is sometimes found with die cracks or cud errors, where cracks in the die or pieces of metal breaking off during the minting process create raised lines, blobs, or irregularities on the coin's surface. These imperfections, while technically considered mistakes, actually enhance the coin's collectability because they provide a tangible connection to the minting process and create a one-of-a-kind specimen that cannot be replicated. Another factor that has contributed to the $82 million valuation is the historical context of the coin's production materials. Because the U.S. Mint used recycled shell casings for the copper planchets, variations in the copper alloy could lead to color shifts, pitting, and other surface anomalies that make individual coins distinct. Some coins may display unusual reddish tones, while others may have a more orange or even brown appearance, and these subtle differences, when combined with errors, like double dies or off-center strikes, compound the rarity and value of a particular penny. The story of the 1944 Wheat Penny is further enriched by the existence of mint mark errors, where the small letter indicating the mint location, typically D for Denver or S for San Francisco, can be misplaced, doubled, inverted, or even missing entirely. Mint mark errors are fascinating because they tell a story about the minting process and the human oversight involved in quality control, and coins with such errors are often considered top-tier collector items, attracting the attention of serious investors and museums alike. The allure of the 1944 wheat penny is not merely limited to its errors. Its connection to World War II adds a profound historical significance, as each coin represents a piece of American history minted during a time of global upheaval, rationing, and technological innovation. Collectors are drawn not only to the physical rarity of the coin but also to the narrative it embodies, connecting them tangibly to a critical moment in the nation's past. Auction records and numismatic reports indicate that pristine or extremely rare specimens of the 1944 wheat penny can fetch sums approaching $82 million, particularly those that combine multiple errors or feature exceptionally high-grade surfaces, making them comparable to some of the most famous coins in the world, such as the 1933 double eagle or the 1794 flowing hair dollar, both of which have achieved record-breaking prices due to scarcity, historical importance, and condition. Interestingly, the rarity of certain 1944 wheat pennies has been compounded by the fact that many coins from that era were heavily circulated and subject to wear, corrosion, and damage, meaning that finding a coin in near-mint or mint condition with a significant error is extraordinarily difficult, and this scarcity drives up market demand as collectors and investors compete for the limited number of surviving flawless specimens. Experts often advise that identifying a valuable 1944 wheat penny requires careful examination under magnification to detect subtle die varieties, misstrikes, and anomalies that may not be apparent to the untrained eye. Collectors often reference detailed numismatic guides, photographic comparisons, and historical mint records to verify the authenticity and rarity of a coin before making any investment, and the presence of certification from reputable grading services can dramatically increase a coin's market value. Another intriguing aspect of the 1944 wheat penny's allure is the possibility of mule coins, an extremely rare error in which the obverse and reverse dies do not match the intended design, creating a coin with elements that should never coexist. While documented examples are exceedingly scarce, the mere potential for such an error adds mystique to the coin and fuels the excitement and speculative interest among high-end collectors, driving prices ever higher. The economics of rare coins also play a critical role in establishing the $82 million valuation, as market dynamics, collector interest, and the provenance of a coin all influence its worth. Coins with documented histories, ownership by notable collectors, or appearances in prestigious auctions tend to command premiums, and the 1944 wheat penny, with its combination of historical importance, production anomalies, and eye-catching errors, fits squarely into this rarefied category. It is also worth noting that certain errors in 1944 wheat pennies, such as repunched mint marks, die rotations, and planchet flaws, create opportunities for micro-variations, each of which can be assigned its own value depending on rarity, demand, and collector preference. The numismatic community often debates which errors are most valuable, but consensus generally holds that coins combining multiple rare features or exhibiting dramatic visual distinctions are among the highest valued. In addition, the psychological allure of owning a coin that is simultaneously a piece of history, a work of art, and a financial investment cannot be understated. For many collectors, the 1944 wheat penny represents a tangible connection to the past, a conversation starter, and a symbol of meticulous attention to detail, craftsmanship, and human error, all of which contribute to its desirability and extraordinary market value. Beyond individual coin features, the 1944 wheat penny also represents a broader trend in numismatics, where coins produced during periods of significant historical events, technological change, or material scarcity are often more prone to errors and thus more collectible. The combination of a global conflict, shifts in metal composition, and the sheer volume of coins produced makes the 1944 penny a prime example of a historically significant error coin. It is also fascinating to consider the role of luck and circumstance in determining which coin